A second stimulus deal could get hatched in the next 24 hours, but a major development tonight. When you look at the words from Mitch McConnell and the problem solvers, there is still potentially a window for the purple power to drive through to get stimulus checks still in. The purple power is the only community really out there bigger than the problem solvers, but not in the room negotiations like the problem solvers, that can move the focus of the negotiations. The problem solvers discussed the negotiations updates tonight. Mitch McConnell gave an update as well. And those updates now suggest that there's a lot of movement going in different directions and that navigating the waters is still rather treacherous. Guess what? It's time for us to put an oar in the sea. And that oar is a stimulus check. No one can make the push louder and more forceful to get a stimulus check than the viewers of this channel. With 340,000 viewers, 50,000 Instagram followers, and 250,000 on Twitter, it's now or never to make it very clear we don't want to wait till January for Joe Biden to start giving us multiple stimulus checks, which he so promises. We want a stimulus check right now. And tonight is the big push, stimulus check or shutdown. Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Evenings LALATE, and boy, it's all really developing very quickly, and I told you today was going to be a very confusing day. And minutes ago, I watched not one, but two recordings that gave us updates on what's going on with the second stimulus check part of the second stimulus package of the CR. And the developments are shocking. I'm so glad you joined me. In this recording, I'm going over that, $2,400 on SSNI and SSDI, of course, and I'll be getting you big money. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe, because no one's dedicated more to getting you money. Whether it's CARES Act 1 money, rent, and utilities, which I'll be going over a little bit at the end of this broadcast, and on Purple Power Live right after this. Getting you EIDL, which I went live on right before this recording to answer your questions and help people get the EIDL money right now that you need. Or going live on being a Mitch to ensure that you do your escalated benefits and get $10,000 upwards of escalated benefits or retroactive UI and PUA that you're owed and that thousands of other viewers have gotten as well. No one is more dedicated to getting you money right now, so please subscribe. Also, like this video because it really helps in the rankings. And in this video, I'll be going over really what's shocking and happening tonight. It's a little confusing. I'm going to try to make it simple. It concerns your stimulus checks, and it concerns this continuing resolution CR budget bill. Let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news as you sit here today is that we started in the middle of today with me going on afternoon check and reporting that a deal is imminent, so claims Mitch McConnell. That the president, when asked in the White House today if he's ready to sign something, he said yes. So then we thought that really the ship had sailed. We believed that the only things that were going to be in the second stimulus package of the continuing resolution, which for the rest of the video I refer to as the CR, we thought that the items that we were going to get were the following: UI extension, PUA extension, and maybe some FPUC of $300 a week for about the month of December and January only. And we certainly understood what Joe Biden said last night, which I'm going to cover just shortly because it makes everything a lot even more confusing. Joe Biden says that he said last night, he told the Democratic leadership, you know what, just do a short-term thing for December. It's not going to be good. I know it's going to be a messed up bill. Just do it for December. I'm calling it a down payment. And in January, I'm going to give you multiple stimulus checks. Hazard pay, $2,400 on SSI and SSDI, EIDL grants. I will give you all these things, big stimulus checks. But for now, just roll something out for December. And I know it's not going to be a good thing, just roll it out. Okay, that's what Joe said last night. Now with that behind us, let me focus on where the negotiations changed this evening. Chuck Grassley, who's a top GOP leader in the Senate, was interviewed on Fox, and he said that Mitch McConnell, of course, has a $500 billion offer, and the problem solvers who are now taking credit for the Romney bill have a $900 billion offer. He says, I don't have really an issue with the $900 billion, as a lot of Republicans don't have a problem with it either. Good news. But he says, I have a problem with some of the provisions in there, like the state and local. That's $200 billion. I just don't feel like giving that. Now, there is some stuff that's really good in there, and I'm willing to deal with stuff that's not good. But that craziness of $2.2 trillion from crazy Nancy Pelosi, that just wasted our time for 6 months. The takeaway from the interview was perhaps there is still no deal because Chuck Grassley and GOP leaders still do not like that $200 billion that's in there for state and local. They're still $500 billion apart, folks. Now, the other interview came later. The problem solvers were interviewed and said, what is the status of the negotiations? They basically said that $900 billion is the ceiling. As Chuck Grassley said, $900 billion is a ceiling. Nancy Pelosi earlier today said, I'm happy with where you are at $900 billion, but I need to grow it up higher. I need to add some more stuff to it. Problem solvers say no. Chuck Grassley saying no. So you may still have no Democratic support at $900 billion. Now, how about stimulus checks in there? And how about reducing it for $900 billion? The problem solvers in the interview said that Mitch McConnell is working to maneuver certain items in the bill and add things in and take things out, and that they're not opposed to that. That's not to say that Nancy Pelosi's not opposed to it, but the problem solvers who have been reportedly in the negotiations are not opposed to it. The takeaway for the two interviews tonight now suggests that stimulus checks is a topic that you can bridge in the negotiations for this CR, because neither side is yet dug into the sand in their positions. Let me make it even clear. On Afternoon's LALATE, it appeared at the time that we were done. It appeared that we were done with a deal of UI, PUA, and FPUC at $300 a week. Tonight, there is no apparent deal on items. It is still all being negotiated, and they're still $500 billion apart. This was where Purple Power steps in. This is where you start hitting Problem Solver's Twitter account and making it very clear, stimulus checks, what are you doing to us, problem solvers? You wrote the problem solvers bill of 2 stimulus checks, one for $1,200 now and one for $1,200 in March. And now when you come back around, you get rid of the 2 stimulus checks to give more money to big business. Who do you think you are? It's just not acceptable. Problem solvers, you need to put a stimulus check in there. Mitch, you need to put a stimulus check in there. And you need mortgage forbearance and rent eviction moratorium. It is inhumane. I'm going to say it again. It is inhumane for any Republican or Democrat to not include an eviction moratorium and a mortgage forbearance and allow you to be evicted in the middle of the pandemic. Who does that? While they want to sit back and give $2 million to restaurants. Restaurants can get $2 million, but millions of Americans can be evicted on the street. That is inhumane and un-American, and I'm sorry. It shouldn't be allowed. Stimulus check for Americans, eviction moratorium, and mortgage forbearance, and we are owed it. And it doesn't cost a lot of money to do it. How much does it cost to do it? You love the math. I love the math. Let's do some math. Well, first of all, there's that CARES Act 1 money. Yeah. Everyone's like, LA, you haven't talked about the CARES Act 1 money for 12 minutes. Well, let me talk about it in this 12 minutes. There's $800 million of CARES Act 1 money sitting around. Tell Mitch, repurpose the CARES Act 1 money. Now, Mitch knows how to repurpose CARES Act 1 money. Why? Because it's mentioned in his memo at line 1. I want to repurpose CARES Act 1 money. Well, repurpose the other CARES Act 1 money that's sitting at SBA, Mitch, $800 billion as a $1,200 stimulus check. The other 2 things that we need don't cost anything. Eviction protection and mortgage forbearance, done. The major development as you sit here tonight is that Mitch McConnell has never been adverse to a stimulus check. President Donald Trump has said every single month since his existence of June that he wants to give you a stimulus check. Steve Mnuchin said that in his last negotiations with Nancy Pelosi, he went higher to much higher than the prior offer of $1,200 stimulus check, presumably to $2,000 stimulus check. And every major news article about these negotiations in the last 24 hours always have in the title of the article, guess what? And there is no stimulus check. Why? And there is no stimulus check. Why? And there is no stimulus check. Why? It's enough already. Millions of Americans need a stimulus check. The stimulus check would land in Americans' hands within 10 days of this becoming law. It would not become law on December 11th. It likely would become a law on December 8th or December 7th. They're not going to wait to the very last day to make this law. 10 days from there means that Americans would have a stimulus check for the holidays. Not giving a stimulus check to millions of Americans is one of the worst mistakes that any Democrat or any Republican leader could ever make. So tonight, I want you to take this video and I want you to share it with the Problem Solvers Caucus on Twitter. I want you to share it with McConnell and his press secretary and his communications director. I want you to share it with Mnuchin and Meadows and say 3 things: stimulus check, eviction moratorium, and mortgage forbearance. And then we have a deal. All right, now let me explain all the other things because it is sort of overwhelmingly confusing at this point. What are the other items that are currently likely to pass? They are likely to be a UI so that your unemployment assistance would not expire in December, aka PEUC, extended for 1 month. PUA extended for 1 month. And let me explain this, even though I explained in the earlier videos today. If you ran out of weeks, your weeks would now come back, and you would have weeks all the way to January. If you are about to run out of weeks, you wouldn't run out of the weeks. There's nothing for you to do. What you need to do is always certify for benefits every week. Next, FPUC, it's likely that you'll get a strange 4 weeks of FPUC or 6 weeks of FPUC at $300. So about $1,200 or $1,600 would land your bank account between now and late January. I don't know what that's supposed to be. It's just really weird. And that is really all that millions of Americans that tune into this channel would get. What would big business get? A fortune. $2 million, tax breaks to go to fancy restaurants. Airlines will get money. Transportation will get money. All the big business will get money. Yeah, I got that. You can give them the big money, but you got to give us the money as well. You can't keep on giving big business money, whether you're a Democrat or Republican. It's getting a little tiring, isn't it? Next, what's happening in January? So Joe Biden will give you the $2,400 SSI, SSDI, Social Security, and Railroad benefits, the $200 a month from January to December 31st. I know if you were in one of the live chats said, is Joe Biden betting on getting everything passed through a GOP Senate? He is. But ultimately, I have to presume that event's going to occur. I know it's, I feel what you say in that question because it's a great question. But that's what Joe Biden thinks he can get passed. He also thinks he's going to give you $600 a week FPUC retroactive to August. He also thinks he's going to give you rent, food, EIDL, and he's going to give you the CDC grant and other things like that. And hazard pay. I almost forgot there. So that's coming in January, and multiple stimulus checks. It's a long thing. And multiple stimulus checks. Joe Biden's like, I'm going to give you multiple stimulus checks in January. Just wait till January. No, viewers need a stimulus check now. We've been waiting since May. How many times are we going to be told something's going to be coming? We're already dealing with a president who told us we're getting a stimulus check every month. Now we have another president coming in saying, wait a little bit longer. Stop waiting, just send us the stimulus check. Then we'll believe you. As I smile. Then let me turn you to escalated benefits, CARES Act 1 money, and EIDL. It's important to understand that you need to get this money, and I'm working around the clock to get you this money on Purple Power Live, which tonight is really only about CARES Act 1 money. Please tune in, because what's happening lately is the following. On Purple, you saw me detail that Colorado, New Mexico, Alaska, which I forgot to mention, California, and other states are announcing grants or stimulus checks. In New Mexico, I think it was $1,200 stimulus check. In Colorado, a $375 stimulus check is going out to all residents. All residents, you don't have to do anything. In California, a $25,000 grant for businesses. In Alaska, there's a stimulus for Anchorage. Someone told me there's a stimulus check now for Honolulu or part of Hawaii. A lot of states are delivering stimulus checks because they say this is getting ridiculous. Our citizens need money. We're going on lockdown, and we need to give you money. They're also extending benefits, which is a separate issue. They're giving you additional weeks of UI benefits. And for example, Hawaii is doing that, Tennessee. But what's important to understand is when we're talking about rent, utilities, and food, you may have looked for your city, county, or state, like I've done in all these recordings in the recent days. But what's important to understand is that the viewers are finding the rent in ways that are slightly off the beaten track. An example, in New York, one person got a rent grant from the city of New York, but it was not in the city hall, it was not in the county hall, it was not in the state housing authority, it was in the city housing authority. The who? The city housing authority had the rent grant. Okay, that's a new one. In Kentucky, a person got a rent grant, not from the city of Kentucky, but from a private organization. In Houston, a countless number of viewers got rent grants from a Catholic charity, but that Catholic charity is no longer doing it. The city of Houston's now doing it again. In Mississippi, and Louisville, and Alabama are 4 states, for example, that viewers got rent grants, but not from the city or the county, but from organizations that are separate and different, religious or political organizations. All these are known by the volunteers of this channel. And these incredible volunteers are getting you money right now. So ultimately, if you're looking and you're hitting a block wall, go to youtube.com/LALATE/community. Those volunteers are getting you money. I want you to get the money. I'll have more about this on Purple Power coming up right after this. Meantime, escalated benefits, please get it in. And 2 things I need to tell you based upon the special live recording of being a Mitchell, which I went over escalated benefits. 1, don't use the word escalated benefits when you talk to your state. As I always say in these recordings, don't use complicated words. When I use the words like escalated benefits, it's not a universal word. It's a word that I use to describe it. I always tell you, say, do I qualify for extra weeks of benefits? Use the simplest words you can use. Don't use escalated benefits. Next, viewers are saying, can I get escalated benefits in every state? Yes, absolutely. This is not a state-specific situation. Finally, EIDL. Some viewers are saying, can I get multiple EIDLs? You can get an EIDL for a different business if you have multiple businesses. If you have one business that's on a business tax return, and then you also have a Schedule C, you can get both of them. That's how these things are developed. If you have questions or comments in today's video, drop them in the comments below. Join me next on Evening's Check, which is live. Wait, Purple Power Live. Join me in 10 minutes on Purple Power Live. Let's try that again. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay at LA for more.